Welcome to another episode of This Week in Crypto. My name is Singh, and this week's episode is
from March 11th, 2018. In episode 10, we're going to take a look at SECs cracking down on ICOs. Mt. Gox is back to haunt us, guys. Binance hacked or not hacked?
all this and more in this week's episode of This Week in Crypto. Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Crypto. Before we get started off this episode and dive into the news for this week, I want to take a look at what's going on in the market and talk to you about this free fall that we've been experiencing in the crypto world. This week has been a lot more like a roller coaster ride for all of us who are invested in the cryptocurrency market. So it's very important at this point, almost critical, for us to go beyond the charts and the technical analysis and try to understand the fundamental reason why we're seeing this volatility that we are. A lot of people have been blaming this on FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which you already know is always the reason for a drop. But there are some reasons why we're actually seeing this drop, and for these reasons, there are four that really stick out to me as being leaders of the cause of this ongoing dip that we've been seeing since January, and especially the most recent one that occurred this week. So, we're going to focus the majority of our time in this episode on the SEC, focusing their targets on the ICOs, the Mt. Gox sell-off, and finally the Binance hack that wasn't really a Binance hack. So, these three things, along with all the other news, really contributed to the people reacting to the charts rather than attempting to understand and hold their ground. So let's go ahead, dive into these three factors for the most part in this episode and take a look at some of the news that's been going on in the background that's been overshadowed by this dip hysteria that we have going on in the news. But before we get started, I'm going to remind you that if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so by hitting the subscribe button below. And don't forget to hit that bell, guys, so that you can get all the notifications of our future episodes as well as any other videos that are going up on this platform. All right, let's dive in now. First and foremost, let's talk about one of the major contributing factors towards this FUD that we have going on that's been causing the market to really sink this week. And that is the Securities and Exchange Commission for the United States decided to come out and talk about potentially unlawful online platforms and trading digital assets, aka cryptocurrency exchanges, as being unlawful or illegal in what they're doing. Now, this statement was one of the major factors. You know what? Hell, I'd say it was the factor that caused a drastic decline in Bitcoin's price and a drop in a lot of the other cryptocurrency prices that we saw. So, exactly what did the SEC say that caused a ridiculous amount of panic and have people completely freaked out about their crypto investments? So on March 7th, we saw Bitcoin's initial drop, which was about 11% within 1 hour. And it all happened after the SEC tweeted out an article which had a statement by them that basically said that online trading platforms that let investors invest in initial coin offerings, digital assets, coins, tokens, and all this stuff are basically, when you boil it down, illegal. They went on to say that these exchanges are unlawfully allowing investors to buy and trade digital assets, that they shouldn't be allowed to do so. The reasoning was that the exchanges or trading platforms should be registered with the SEC as ATSs, which are alternative trading systems, or as brokers, or as security exchanges. So I'll put a link to this article in the show notes on the actual website, as well as below in the video description for you to check out. Basically, this created the question of, are cryptocurrency exchanges illegal? And that sent the market spiraling down the tubes. Now, from what I can gather, this isn't for exchanges like Coinbase, GDAX, Gemini, or Robinhood, but rather it's aiming at the Bitrexes and Poloniex, those type of exchanges that are headquartered in the United States, but allow for cryptocurrency trading of a lot of ICOs and tokens that have and are raising money elsewhere, as opposed to Bitcoin, which is something where you mine Bitcoin or you mine Litecoin to acquire the asset. I'm going to take this to be a warning shot to these US-based exchanges. This news, as soon as it came out, really tanked the entire crypto market, creating a sea of red. What I wish is that the government would just step aside, let me trade my crap coins, and do as I wish with my bad investments in the crap coins. But it doesn't look like it's going to work this way, at least not at the moment. Cryptos like Bitcoin, Zcash, Monero, honestly, don't look like they'll be affected. And that's because they haven't had an ICO or an initial coin offering. But on the flip side, anything that has had an ICO or deals with ICOs might be on, how do I say this, a bit more uneven ground at the moment. Now, I'm hoping the government will come out and better clarify their stance and allow for some of the fear to subside a bit here. And honestly, let the volatility get back to its normal levels rather than this ridiculous up and down swings because of the fear, the doubt, and the uncertainty that's going on based around this whole concept. The SEC has created a list of 13 questions that they say that investors should ask themselves before using a specific online trading platform. Now, these include asking if the platform has a registered or is registered as a national securities exchange, or seeing if the exchange is an ATS. And there's a bunch of other questions that determine whether or not the exchange is lawful or not. What do you guys think? Honestly, in my opinion, the only thing that sums it up perfectly is bleh. Exactly. Like, I could care less. I think that the SEC and the US government, all they're trying to do is they're trying to suppress cryptocurrencies from rising from the ground up. And this will play out a little bit better off throughout the year. But governments can try to suppress cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. But the wonderful thing is it's a global market. If not here, it's going to rise somewhere else that is crypto friendly. I think what governments and countries really need to think about is, do they want to be on the back end of this revolution or this innovation, or do they want to be in the foreground? And that's something that's going to be critical because the power is shifting. As cryptos become more and more prevalent and more widely used, you're going to start to see that nations that have openly adopted cryptocurrencies, that's where the power is going to go. That's where it's going to trickle down to. And the ones that really resisted, they're going to lose a grasp of the power that they have. And this is going to be a really interesting thing to watch throughout the years. And it's not going to happen within 1 year. We're looking at, 5, 10, 15 years. But they say hindsight is 20/20. So let's see. Let's see exactly what happens, guys. So speaking of the rise of nations, I want to take a look at this company that's cropping up called BlockRise. It's a new type of credit card that's aiming to pay its users in rewards, but it's not a normal rewards card. It's going to pay its users in crypto rewards rather than the typical cashback incentive that's being offered by almost every second credit card company out there. So this San Francisco-based startup, BlockRise, is looking at providing its customers with a 1% crypto back reward paid out in Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, this is really cool. But what's even cooler is that this whole company was started by a 25-year-old named Thomas Harrison. And he basically built a credit card called BlockRise. And like I said, it offers that line of credit and it pays users 1% in cryptocurrency rewards for every purchase that the customer makes. Now, Harrison was once the head of operations of a now defunct What's Goodly app. Honestly, when I looked into it, what I gathered is that it offered different types of online polling. And according to Harrison, in an interview with the financial news outlet MarketWatch, the card already has more than 2,000 individuals on the waiting list. BlockRise's website details that the traditional rewards card, with an average expenditure of about $1,250 per month, can earn $150 to $300 cash back. Now, if someone spent the same amount in 2017 with the crypto rewards card, they would have earned $998 in Bitcoin or $2,487 in Ethereum. So 1% crypto back on every purchase. But then again, add the market to it. And now it's really easy to see how the cashback equivalent isn't just 1%. We're talking maybe approximately 6.5% to 7% at this point on Bitcoin and possibly 16% on Ethereum. So let's take a look at this. Harrison is right now the only full-time employee running the BlockSize day-to-day operations, but he is working with Shogun Enterprises lead fintech engineer Zach Allen, to peer-to-peer marketplace co-founder of OpenSea.io Alex Atala, and Jonathan Gelfand, I hope I said his name right, managing the partner at CardLinic. So this is the whole concept. Let's say that cryptocurrencies will offer a different type of incentive, right? But the asset's value fluctuates. Now, Harrison says that he suspects some people might not like the volatility involved with their accumulated rewards, especially if the price goes down. But I do anticipate that some people will be extremely upset, according to Harrison. But let's think about it on the other hand. These assets have seen an increase in double digits, more than double digits at times. We're talking triple digits. And what that means is that 1% crypto back that you've earned in Bitcoin or Ethereum, let's say during 2017, would have potentially been equivalent to receiving, like I said, 6.5% to 7% in Bitcoin, and possibly 17% cash back on every purchase in Ethereum. Now, to me, that sounds like a great deal. Are the risks there? Absolutely. That 1% back could be worth nothing. But then again, if we look at the market, it's gradually been increasing throughout the years. If we actually step back and look at it, we're still on an incline, which means my 1% is not going to be worth 1%. It's going to be worth more than 1%. But then again, you really have to look back and think about this. What are your spending habits? Do you take that cash back and just spend it right away? Or do you just let it sit there? Now, personally, what I do is I just let it sit there. Why? Because it's just too much of a hassle to log into my website and apply it to my bill. So I just wait till it accumulates to a nice amount and then go from there. And if that's your habit, you might actually benefit more by this BlockRise credit card. But don't take my word for it. Try it out. Check out their website. We'll leave a link in the description below. And let me know. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in Tennessee here. So, Tennessee lawmakers are trying to remove cryptocurrency investments from public retirement funds. Now, at this moment, there are two bills in motion heading into the Senate's full chamber. And the state's House of Representatives, both of which are nearly identical, asking the Senate and House to consider stopping or barring or restricting digital assets from state-operated benefits. This all came out last Tuesday, and the bill was proposed by Senator Bill Ketron, while the House bill was sponsored by Representative Michael Curcio. Both of these, I don't know their standing. I really don't know if they're Republicans or Democrats, but the proposals are what the main focus is, and they aim to change the Tennessee code, and particularly how trustees can invest by amending Title 8, Chapter 27, Part 8, and adding a new definition. Now, the new guidelines would stop the state's retirement agencies and trustees from taking part in investing in digital currencies. The code states that I'm going to quote this. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, the trustee shall not invest in any cryptocurrency, end quote. So essentially, trustees are prohibited from any defined contribution plan or investment plan that can be tied to cryptocurrencies. Come on, Tennessee. Really? Are we going to step backwards while Illinois, Wyoming, Arizona, Georgia, all these states are moving forward? Whatever. We know you're going to fall in line eventually. But what's interesting is that this includes any related benefits and insurances. So HB 2093 is headed to the Ways and Means of the subcommittee on March 14th, while the other bill, SB 2508, is recommended for passage to the Senate Calendar Committee. I definitely want to keep a really, really close eye on this one and see what Tennessee does and where Tennessee goes with this, because this may be something that could affect a lot of other people in other states. States do tend to follow suit, but again, like I said, Tennessee is most probably going to fall in line with all the other states that have already become pro-crypto and that are really, really diving into this crypto blockchain revolution in itself. But like I said, a matter of time. We'll see. I'm going to keep my thumb on the pulse on this one because the things that happen, these small, minute changes that occur in these states, that's going to determine and depict exactly how the federal government will carry on with cryptocurrencies in the future. Guys, I really want to look at something here. Now, according to the ex-Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or CTFC chair, the ex-CTFC chair, Jim Newsom, crypto isn't a bubble and it's not on the verge of bursting. He honestly believes this, and that since the industry is still in its infancy and a lot of the majority of institutional money is still holding off and hasn't even entered the market, mainly due to uncertainty regarding future regulations and measures and all that stuff. Now, on top of this, it's worth noting that the majority of mainstream investors haven't gotten involved in crypto. And many who bought crypto at their all-time highs in December and January, basically they've been shaken off. They've already pulled out. So I was reading an article in Forbes, and it was noted that Jim Newsom, is working with the former SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins. And what they're doing is they're trying to present a report on best practices for crypto token issuers and purchasers. The report was initially scheduled to be presented at the Digital Chamber of Commerce's annual meeting, which was to be held on the 9th of March, but it was delayed due to the complications stemming from an underestimation of projects and complexities and some other fun stuff that I probably don't know much about. Instead, it's going to be presented in 2 weeks. Now, Newsom has also cautioned U.S. regulators against falling behind the rest of the world. This is something I'm very concerned about, and we just spoke about this literally minutes ago. He's afraid that if we fall behind from the rest of the world, it's going to force companies abroad, and it's going to stifle innovation, domestic innovation particularly. He also claims that Securities and Exchange Commission and their chair, Jay Clayton, is taking a harsher approach towards cryptos due to pressure from both the White House and the Treasury Department. So this is one of those things that I usually tell people, let's not get panicked about the SEC's statement. Let's wait. Let's see what happens, because there are other forces at play here that believe that the SEC is being a little too strict, too stringent, and we need to back off a bit if we want to stay relevant. Because if this technology takes off, and if this technology actually starts leading the forefront, those countries that aren't invested in it, or those countries that have tried to control it, are going to start to see that power slide away from them. But and we understand, we know that there will be a redistribution of power. How it's going to occur, where it's going to happen, where it's going to come from, or how it's going to evolve is what we're waiting to watch and see. Let's move on to some news of exchanges. Mt. Gox. Guys, Mt. Gox is like that gift that just keeps on giving. The one that you really don't want. Honestly, it's one of those things that just won't go away. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Mt. Gox, it was hacked a while back, and it's still coming back somehow to bite people in the ass, to haunt us. So the details of the sale were published on March 7th, made by a trustee of Mt. Gox. And what happened was he had sold about $405 million in cryptocurrencies, which was about 35,841 Bitcoin and about 34,008 Bitcoin Cash. For what? To liquidate the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash to acquire fiat to pay the creditors. Now, as you can imagine, if you were to sell $405 million worth of crypto on the open market, that's probably going to have some negative downward pressure on the overall market as a whole. This isn't something that happened in 1 week, but rather this liquidation has been going on for months. So these declines that you've been seeing since January, guys, I'm looking right at it. And it's really interesting to see how the dips occurred during the liquidation process. What baffles me was that no one told this trustee that he should sell the crypto OTC or over the counter so as not to create market volatility and cause these dips to occur. And get this, from reading the article, I'm finding out that this is only half of what is in their holdings. So there could be a further dip if these trustees, or this trustee in particular, continues to sell the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, or the remaining of it, on the open market. Could we possibly see a $4,000 or a $6,000 Bitcoin this year? That's very possible. Now, a lot of people who have been reading my technical analysis actually get to see my step-by-step thinking methods and processes of why I think this. But they also get to see that I'm not afraid of this. Because if the price does fall down to 4K or 6K, that's going to be a beautiful buying opportunity for myself. Because all this pressure that's pushing the price down, well, it's going to be released. And just like a buoy that you push down underwater, it's going to come popping right back up. And to me, I'm waiting for that pop-up to occur. In my mind, it's not about if Bitcoin is going to go up or if cryptocurrencies are going to go back up in value. For me, I know they will. The biggest question is when. And I think that's what sometimes gets me a little frustrated, because I know that it's going to happen. I get impatient. I want it to happen now. But we all have to kind of sit back and let the market do its thing. But anyways, back to this Mt. Gox thing. So like I was saying, Nobuaki Kobayashi is the trustee that's been dumping all these Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cashes. And you know what? He's not done yet. He has another 1.9 billion to sell. This is according to Bloomberg. The more he sells, the lower the price goes. And guys, it's interesting, but the hodlers, they're getting pissed. Or the anger is misplaced, though. All they're really complaining about is the fundamental condition of Bitcoin itself. They're complaining about the clearing price of supply and demand. And honestly, it makes sense. Every time Kobayashi sells a piece of the Mt. Gox hoard, the massive scale of the sales tank the price of Bitcoin. And nobody can be this clueless. Like an auction, why even use an exchange? It's ridiculous. The average person knows that using an exchange for massive dumps is going to do exactly that. It's going to push that price down. And a big part of their complaint is that Kobayashi sold their coins on an exchange, getting the spot market price, which, again, doesn't make much sense to me, because if he sold a crap load of Bitcoin at 20K and that brought the price down to, say, 15K, and he sold another crap load, isn't he shortchanging himself? But regardless of this, the hodlers are actually saying that he should have used an auction process, or perhaps quietly placed chunks of the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash hoard in private sales, not via the exchange. Now, guys, this is how it should be done. And I don't know, maybe Kobayashi's a noob, but all it really did was it really tanked the market. That way, if he were to do that using private sales and or use an auction or whatnot, the hoard could have been sold incrementally so that the price wouldn't go through these sudden collapses that make everyone poorer. But in the long run, like I said, it doesn't matter whether Bitcoins are sold privately in swaps or they're sold on the exchanges. Ultimately, if you dump an extra 200,000 coins into the market, the extra supply will to some degree depress the price. The only question is how much of a depression are we going to see? And that's based on where the coins are sold. So this is literally the lesson that central banks have learned in the 1920s, when the Weimar Republic thought it could get away with printing extra banknotes without anyone noticing. The mere existence of supply set the price, not the manner in which it was sold. And we're seeing it again in this Mt. Gox debacle, or this trustee pushing out all these coins in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, liquidating per se. Now, Bitcoin is only a price. It's not a physical object, nor a claim on an underlying asset. And it's definitely not a currency backed by a bank or a commodity that has a use value beyond its price. And the price reflects only supply and demand for Bitcoin. That's where that fluctuation happens. That's why the hoarders are getting pissed. The Japanese Financial Service Agency, or the FSA, announced on Thursday that it had, quote-unquote, punished 7 cryptocurrency exchanges, ordering 2 of them to suspend business in an effort to shore up consumer protection, end quote. Now, this quote was from Reuters. BitStation and FSHO were basically ordered to suspend business from March 8th to April 7th. Now, the 2 are quasi-operators, which means that they're allowed to operate a crypto exchange while their registrations with the FSA, the Japanese Financial Service Agency, are pending review. The agency has also asked the 2 exchanges to submit work improvement plans by March 22nd. In addition, Tech Bureau, GMO Coin, Lemuria Bitcoin Exchange, Mr. Exchange, and CoinCheck also received improvement orders from the FSA. The news outlet detailed that the former 2 are fully licensed exchanges, while the latter 3 are quasi-operators. So this is interesting. This probably also contributed to a little bit of this dip that we saw that we had. And what I like to point out is it's not one thing. One thing may be more effective in pulling that price down that we saw this week than something else, but we actually had a perfect storm. Interestingly, the East Coast had a nor'easter, or this huge storm going on. We had a crypto storm brewing, and it was going strong. So we need to really look at this and understand that cryptos aren't dying, guys. Cryptos are just going through a very traumatic period because of regulatory issues, because of the Mt. Gox trustee, and some exchanges and some exchange news that has created nothing more than panic. It's not even FUD. It's not even fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's just flat out panic. So this wasn't the only thing that occurred. Let's move on to Binance. So what exactly was going on with this whole Binance hack or non-hack? Posts started to flood the Binance Exchange subreddit, complaining about unauthorized sell orders. And in such posts, one of the subreddit writers or whatnot, Shashank KKGG, laments that all of his altcoins were sold at market price. He went on to say, WTF, Binance just sold all my alts at market rate and I have got just the Bitcoin now. Is it because of account getting hacked or Binance bot issue? Now, other users echoed the same experience. But after the initial outcry, an official thread by the Binance team assured users that they were investigating reports of some users having issues with their funds. And guys, it wasn't really a hack. So the post continued to reveal that the only confirmed victims have registered API keys. As a precautionary measure, Binance temporarily suspended all withdrawals while leaving deposits and trading fully functional. Now, they went ahead, and bear in mind, I am very impressed with Binance. Again, something happens, and they have been nothing but on the forefront of keeping its subscribers on the know. And they have been tweeting left and right, and not only that, solving the problem. So Binance's team released a post on their support page detailing the incident, and they chalked it up to a massive, well-coordinated phishing attempt. But they ensured users that all the funds are safe and no funds were stolen or removed from the exchange. According to Binance, what the hackers had done was they had been accumulating user accounts for some time, beginning sometime in January and really picking up steam in February. The malicious actors used a practically identical domain name to nab user accounts. Now, I don't know if you guys ended up seeing this, but I saw this on multiple fronts where people were saying, at least in the Twitter feeds, that have you seen Binance? It was Binance's URL, but there were like 2 dots under the N of the first N or the second N, and they were saying that be careful that this isn't actual Binance or this isn't Binance's website. So here we go, guys. This is where it is. So the malicious actors used a practically identical domain name to nab user accounts. One that used an Umlaut accent mark is what they call it, underneath the 2 characters of the Binance name. So after hijacking user profiles, the hackers created API trading bots for each account and waited until the right opportunity to make their next move. And what they basically did was they did a huge pump and dump. So thankfully, Binance's risk management system kicked in and suspended withdrawals once it spotted the abnormal trading action. Because of this, the hackers could not actually reap the rewards of their bounty, and Binance froze the accounts. Now, as of now, CZ, the head of Binance here, basically has stated in his Twitter feed that all the trades have been reversed. And not only that, guys, get this. These guys, they lost coins. They lost money doing this. They didn't gain anything either. So good on you, Binance. You know, this is another one of those things that you guys stopped well before it could have been a huge disaster. Again, earlier this year, Binance had did an amazing job keeping its customers, you know, on the know, keeping them well informed as McAfee was spreading FUD. Now we had a not a hack, but an API theft. So this was something that affected customers who weren't careful and just decided to give out their APIs or didn't check if they were actually on Binance. But regardless, Binance and their team, you know, took care of this, kept us up to date, kept us apprised. And not only that, they reversed everything. Now, the team handled the debacle with relatively few losses. The security measures that they had in place were really, really robust enough to catch the situation before it got out of hand. And CZ and the rest of the Binance squad navigated the situation with a lot of transparency and poise. So again, this does nothing but reassert my affirmations that Binance is the place to be for me and for a lot of other traders out there who really are worried about these hacks that are occurring. So bearing in mind, this was a part of that perfect storm that was going on this week that was causing a lot of the dips. All right, guys, some small rapid fire news that I wanted to get across before we end this episode. One being is that there was a bill passed in Arizona. We all know that Georgia passed a bill where you could pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Arizona is now following suit. And then on top of that, we have Illinois as well, who is filed a bill to see, you know, if maybe we can do this here in Illinois. So these are some good things, good steps, good things going forward. Some more things here is the U.S. Congress is going to discuss ICOs in a hearing next week. Now, this is something that's really, really, really going to it's going to fluctuate the markets a bit. The subcommittee of the U.S. House of Representatives Financial Services Committee is set to hold a hearing next week in cryptos and ICOs. A notice posted on the committee's website stated that the Capital Market, Securities, and Investment Subcommittee hearing, entitled Examining the Cryptocurrencies and ICO Markets, is going to be scheduled for March 14th at 10 a.m. So I'm really going to keep my ears to the ground, and I really want to see what comes about from this. Also, worth a mention, Thailand basically dodges the extreme cryptocurrency regulations. So Mr. Rapi, I can't say his last name, I'm not even going to try, Secretary General of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Thailand, the TSEC, revealed on Saturday that related committees basically met and decided to enact a special law to govern all the areas of cryptocurrencies, with the TSEC in charge. Now, the good thing is the units or whatnot, when they got together, they basically came to an agreement that the Thai regulators have been concerned about this rapid growth of the crypto market and the ICO market. But there has been a suggestion that Section 44 may be necessary to immediately regulate this industry. Now, after a little bit of deliberation and talking and whatnot, the Deputy Prime Minister under General Prayut Chan-o-cha told reporters on Friday that there currently isn't a need to use Section 44 in regards to cryptocurrencies. So that being said, it was kind of a, how do I say it? The bullet was dodged for Thais and Thailand and whatnot. And this is going to be good. It's going to be reflected on the markets for us as well. I did want to mention one thing before we end this, and it's because a lot of people are invested in Vibrate. Now, Vibrate has never had problems with liquidity. A few weeks ago, VIB experienced a 24-hour volume reaching unprecedented heights, topping out at an all-time high of over $430 million. Nevertheless, any company would be a fool not to take advantage of standard setting services. So, what happened? The Bancor protocol is a revolution in the blockchain technology, which allows tokens to be initially converted without matching buyers and sellers. So it achieves this by using a simple mathematical formula, which balances buys and sells. Vibrate activated a relay token with $450,000 worth of Vibe or Vibrate and $450,000 worth of BNT. And it's going to increase those volumes if necessary. What is Vibrate? If you guys want to know what Vibrate is jump on to cryptocoinguru.net, become a member. We're going to dive in and we're going to see exactly what Vibrate is. But just for, a little bit of a synopsis, Vibrate is basically aiming to revolutionize the music industry. And it plans on doing this by having musicians being presented and booked, as well as opening the world of live music to everyone. And it's achieving these goals by decentralizing the discovery and booking process with the use of super blockchain technology. Now, that's all I'm going to say right now. But Vibrate currently lists profiles of over 150,000 artists, 2,000 booking agencies, and 60,000 venues with 500,000 events. Guys, this is probably a coin that's going to go places, but it is a sleeping giant. I have to say this in full discretion. I am invested in Vibrate. I was thinking about pulling out of this because Vibrate has done nothing for me so far. But I said, you know what? Let's give it a chance. And I'm kind of glad I did. If you guys are interested, take a look into it. Read the white paper. If you want to know what the white paper is all about, if you want me to do a little ICO review, I will be more than happy to do so. At the moment, Vibrate is currently listed on OKX, Binance, Bittrex, Upbit, HitBTC, Livecoin, and I think Bancor as well. I could be wrong, but again, I haven't sat back and done the ICO review. If you guys do want me to do that, let me know. But I think it's a great coin now. Again, I had my moments where I thought, maybe I should get out of this. Maybe I shouldn't be invested in here. But, after taking some time, understanding the white papers, understanding what was going on, I decided to stay put. I decided not to be skittish on the investment. Something that I tell people, all the time, do not invest with emotion. And that's what I was trying to thwart on my part as well. All right, guys, it's that time again. If you want to learn more about smart crypto investing, then become a member of our member section at cryptocoinguru.net. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below, and if you're already subscribed, hit that thumbs up. I'll really appreciate it. Well, till next time, episode 10 is in the can, and this is Singh signing out for Crypto Coin Guru, guys. Till next week.